Hi, this is Jill from the North Woods. Lost 1.8 pounds this week. That's pretty good. We're doing good. And this, believe it or not, was a shirt I bought just yesterday. And I thought I would get a smaller shirt, because I'm so tired of throwing out clothes. And I just thought, even if I can't fit in it right now, I want to keep this shirt for a long time. Well, I tried it on and it fits. It fits. Yay, it fits. So there you have it. Doing great in size. I did measurements again. Lost 8 inches total since the beginning off of my hips and 4 inches off my trunk everywhere, and then 2 inches off each of my appendages in each of the locations. So the weight loss is pretty good. Just as a general, I guess, sort of statement, I am now done with all the pants that I wore before when I was 3 pounds less than I am right now. So like I said, I believe I'm smaller on the bottom, but I still have shirts that are smaller that I don't fit in yet. So there goes my theory that I am losing weight everywhere a little bit better. I want to thank you all for watching and all that you do. Some of these are hard topics, so particularly like the last one, just because some of this comes into some personal information, and this drug affects everyone just a little bit differently. And I made a statement a couple of weeks ago that if people are, or maybe it was last week, that people are feeling sick to their stomach, maybe it might be because they're not eating the proper foods. And I just wanted to make sure I said that's not every case. Not every case is because someone is not eating the correct kinds of food. Because know, like I said, this affects everyone differently. It affects my friend who's been doing this a little bit differently than it is affecting me. And so it has to do a little bit with dose, and it has a little bit to do with eating and lifestyle, but it just has to do with your makeup too. I didn't really have much of a problem with digestion until I hit 10 milligrams. And it hasn't been bad, and I'm not sorry. And I've been losing weight very well on 10, so I'm happy with that. The other part too is I was watching a biologist talking about how GLP1s affect the body. And he was saying that what happens is as the body, because all this material is going through the body much more slowly, there are some people who feel nauseous when they eat too much and they feel like they're going to throw up. He said because that is another system in the body that tries to prevent someone from eating too much. What happens is because everything is going through much more slowly, that same reaction system goes into place, makes you feel nauseous, which is what happens to me for about 2 hours after I take the shot. And it happens to other people much longer and much worse. So there are different places and there are different reactions to this. And like I said, there's Zofran and there's other things for people who feel a great deal of nausea. Not a doctor. And in fact, I'm very far away from being a doctor, but I read a lot and I study a lot about this. Like I said, I'm trying to learn this even better. Today, what I'm going to talk about a little bit is fasting. And I just tried a fast in the last week. I didn't do very great with it. Before, when I started trying to fast, it would spike my blood sugar. And I thought, ugh, this seems like this is not the right choice for me. And I stopped trying to fast. Now, since I've been on this drug, I have been doing what they call the 16-hour, whatever, intermittent fasting. I've been doing that dedicatedly since then because I actually really, for being overweight, it's kind of funny. I don't really enjoy cooking meals and eating meals. And so I rather lump them all together and eat them in a short period of time so I can be done with it. I don't know. It's so funny that my friend who's very focused on foods, very thin, and for me, who never really cared about food one way or the other, ended up being very overweight. But I do like lumping my meals together. And so now that I'm not having a blood sugar problem, I've been pretty much eating all my meals from 8 o'clock in the morning. And then I stop at around 4. And then I don't eat any more meals. I do drink a lot of water. But I'm also not religious about it. So if I end up at night feeling a little hunger, I'll eat something. I just typically don't. So I've been doing that kind of fasting, which is considered to be one kind of fasting. Some people do 12 and 12. Some people do 16 and 8. Some people can't do 16, so they do 14 and 10. It's up to you. But they sort of feel like now we are used to being people who don't eat all throughout the day. I've always had this feeling that we're messing up our health at this point because we used to eat in a certain way. Food used to be a struggle, and we used to have famines, and we also didn't have snack foods available. So the entire history of mankind, up to like 50 years ago, we were built for gaps in hunger. So I guess I agree with those people that say that the fact that we're eating every 2 to 3 hours throughout the entire day, maybe screwing something up because I don't think our body quite knows what to do with that or expects it. I don't know. Like I said, not a doctor. So I decided that intermittent fasting sounded like a really good idea. And so I went with that. And this last week, though, take my shot on Wednesdays. And I tried to see how long I could go with a fast. Now, I've heard that there are 2 to 3 day fasts that tend to be like the best for you. It does a number of things for you. It, first of all, signals your cells to do something called autophagy, which is a big word, which means that the body removes, eats up, dissolves, I don't know, damaged cells in your body, recycles them so that you're not just sitting there and having these sub-functioning cells in you, because they sort of believe that these sub-functioning cells can do anything from lead to cancer to lead to health disease, that they're just in our system. And at best, they're not doing any good. And at worst, they're doing damage. So fasting has been one of those things that helps the body start to eat away at those cells and get rid of them inside of your body. The body is really smart. I won't even get into this, but I was watching a thing about people who got lost in the Arctic or some very cold thing, and the stages your body will go to protect itself. Obviously, it's going to burn off your fat. Then it goes to your muscle. It goes to your brain last because it wants your brain to be active still. And so it does all these actions in place when it is hungry to protect what it can, to protect your organs, and then the last thing, to protect your brain. But in this fasting, you're sort of creating this artificial restriction so that your body does that kind of a process. It goes through that kind of process. I don't necessarily fall in line with the idea that people will say, well, what we did as ancient people is the best way to go. I mean, people also had the average age of 30, and now we're living into our 70s, 80s, 90s, 100s. So there's a plus and minus to our modern lifestyle. There's a plus and minus to the ancient lifestyle. And I think finding that balance, and I'm hoping that research is going in that direction, it plays a role in how we just process food. And in reading in Reddit, which again is not science itself, essentially what it means is that in reading in Reddit and reading what people are talking about, some people said that they had severe stomach upset, and then going through a regular process of fasting helped solve that, helped solve any stomach problems that they had. And even with people who are taking GLP1s, like I said, it goes through that process of breaking down cells, recycling damaged, unwanted proteins, cells, cleaning them up, and taking them out of the system. It also removes anything that would be damaged within our system, even what they call like a nutrient item component that's there. And it also helps trigger a stress response. Now, stress response can be damaging to us when we're actually really stressed, because it floods our hearts with energy to try to outrun that tiger. And in this case, it is triggering other mechanisms compared to tiger stress, to cellular stress, so that it starts challenging and making our bodies, I don't know, more resilient. Like I said, I'm reading a lot about this. It helps in reducing chronic disease. They think that it can help with heart disease. It can help with, like I said, destroying those harmful proteins that can lead to things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And you're reading now, and I never heard about this before. We started talking about Alzheimer's a few years ago, damaging proteins. So we start eating up those proteins. And so they feel like on occasion a good fast is very helpful to us. It also helps speed our antibody production, because the body is trying to say, oh no, maybe something's wrong, produces antibodies and helps us defend against any sort of infections, that kind of thing. Like I said, I think the science is still out on it. I think we're still researching a lot of this, but it's a complex process that we try to do. We live in a society where food is available every minute. And if you're anything like me, you would eat breakfast and maybe have a midday snack, and then you eat lunch, and then maybe you have a snack in the afternoon, and then maybe dinner, and then you would have a nighttime snack while watching TV or something like that. There's this constant stream of food all the time. So, like I said, I started thinking, now that I'm on Mounjaro, could I do the 16-hour fast at least? Because it will at least be something. Depriving my body of nutrients for a time period, which some people say can be helpful too. But then the other part of it is they say, like I said, 2 to 3 day fasts are very beneficial to you because it really kicks in that whole process of what they call autophagy, which is removing those cells. If you don't do that enough, they sort of believe that that can lead, like I said, to disease increase, including tumors that would grow, because tumors come from a cell that has been taken over, and then we want to autophagy those tumor cells. But then too much can produce too much stress on your body. If you're fasting too much, it can hurt us just in general day-to-day survival, producing too much stress on the body. So then it's a matter of finding out what the right level of fasting is. And so, like I said, I tried it last week because I haven't been able to do it since I had blood sugar problems, but now I don't. But we'll talk about that here in a minute. Part of the problem when you're looking at a lot of books and reading books about fasting is that it's great that you're doing this and creating that autophagy. The question is does that autophagy, it is eating cells, and the cells are made up of the things that we're made up of. Do we lose nutrients? Do we lose protein? This one woman gave a really good piece of advice. She said, when I ask someone who is fasting, I forgot what she said. It was like a really long fast every week. How are you getting your protein in? How are you getting your fiber in? And so that, again, because I'm so focused on fiber and protein right now, that is a concern to me. I think she has a good point that while you're fasting, you may not be getting the balanced nutrition that you need, even though your body is eating itself and providing some of that. Part of it too is when you fast, things can happen. Like I said, when I was having high blood sugar problems, it spiked my blood sugar. And my doctor told me that that was quite common for women. Men tend to do better on fasting than women do. And the body is trying to survive. And when it senses there's no sugar in you because you're not eating, it starts dumping it out in your system into too high of a level area. Now I don't have that problem, but what happened? So I fasted starting on Wednesday morning. So that meant 6 p.m. the previous day. So I went all the way, got to about 36 hours, I think. And then my blood sugar dropped too low. I was starting to shake. I was starting to not feel very well. And so then I started having low blood sugar. So I stopped my fast at about 36 hours. So it went okay, but I was kind of hoping to do like 2 to 3 days because, like I said, I hear that 2 to 3 days is really that sweet spot when it comes to fasting. But, I'll work on it. And if it's not right now while I'm taking GLP1s, I'll do it when I get done with that. I should be at a healthier status whenever I get done with this diet. And maybe I quit too soon. Maybe if I would have waited a little bit longer. I hear that starting at 48 hours, your body no longer feels hungry. And so maybe the sugar would have cleared itself up too. But like I said, I wasn't trying to press it too much my first time. I'll try it again and see how it goes. So it really is nice that you can try to do that. Sometimes people say it's good enough to just eat less over a period of time instead of nothing. And sometimes it even says that GLP-1s and going on this kind of a diet is enough. We're at a low enough level of calories. Our bodies are processing that calories better because we're on this drug. Maybe that's good enough. Maybe that is the best way to go. So like I said, I did some research on different kinds of fasting. And the first one is obviously is time restricted. That's the one I do every day. And some people, like I said, do 16/8. Some people do 12/12. Some people do 14 hours, whatever it is. I think before you start feeling shaky, you start getting mental confusion, you start not feeling well. It's important that you keep yourself healthy, even if you're going to try a fast. And then the other one is just eat, stop, eat, which is a strategy which maybe you just fast for 24 hours once or twice a week. And that might be the best part for me because, like I said, if I start feeling shaky at 24 hours, maybe right after I take my shot every Wednesday, which was yesterday, not eating for 24 hours. I'm on vacation this week. This has been a little bit harder for me not to eat because I've been doing a lot of hiking and walking. And I feel like this is not the best week for me to do fasting. People will talk about this 5-2 diet, which is not exactly fasting, but it's extreme calorie restriction for 2 days, and then 5 days you eat normally. So it all depends. We're still researching this. I think that everyone wants to write a book. I'm not writing a book. And they all have like something to sell. I don't want to say that in a bad way, but they all have a point of view and they're going to write a book or they're going to have a website and they're going to tell a thing and they're going to try to sell a particular point of view, which I'm not trying to do. For me, I'm just trying to figure out what's healthy and how I can maintain my health. That's my main focus. And so longer fasts, like I said, I might try and I will certainly try again, just not this week. But I think it's interesting. And I think it's interesting and worth trying. Now, I read a lot of people on Reddit who said they did this for them. They feel better. Their brain fog went away. They felt alive. And it might be just hormonal and cellular changes in the body. It may be accurate. It may not be. It may just be that people feel like I'm doing a thing. And I don't know. But like I said, I do want to try it. The other part of it too is that it's a big part of spiritual practices. Fasting has been a big part of our humanity of spiritual practice. I'm a Christian. Fasting is a big part of it. So I think that it would also be nice to bring it in as part of a spiritual practice, which this last week one wasn't. I was just trying to really feel the biology of it. How do I feel and what do I feel? And then right when I got done with the fast, this is the important part too, is that you have to kick up your nutrition. So I started right back with really nutritious foods all week long. I didn't eat. Well, I did yesterday because I was out and I was out hiking and I was in the middle of nowhere with my friend. And so we ate food that wasn't particularly good for us. But I tried right after that fast to do a better job of making sure that I ate vegetables, protein, lean protein, fiber, and kick that back up again because I do want to keep my good digestion going. And interestingly enough, because I did the last week, I talked about diarrhea and constipation. I got hit with a nasty bout of diarrhea. And I don't know if it had to do with the fasting. I'm not really sure. It was the only thing that really got changed. But I did get diarrhea once I started eating again. So that's kind of curious too. And there's all sorts of research too that they're trying to do too. Are there foods that sort of stimulate autophagy without having to go through a fast? And they think that there are some that do. I have no evidence of it, and so I'm not really sure. The last part that I was thinking about when it came to fasting is, do you protect your muscle mass? I'm working really hard with my trainer. I'm trying to build muscle mass for health reasons. Let me put it this way. As I've had me and my friends, we are all in the same sort of age group, have all had parents who have been ailing lately, and it all had to do with mobility. And my mom started losing her mobility. So she's 19 years older than I am, about a decade ago. It was maybe even a little bit more of a decade ago. And now she has great mobility problem. And I just feel I don't want that. I want to be able to go hiking in my 70s someday. I want to in my retirement age still be able to go out and do the things I do. Obviously, it's not going to be as robust as it is now, but the idea is I want to keep health as best I can. And so part of me does not want to lose muscle mass. I want to retain the muscle mass I've been working so hard to build. Now, they believe that when it comes to fasting, that the autophagy itself, because you are breaking down proteins and cellular material in your own body, it's not as bad as you think it is. However, when I'm done with that fast, like I said, I started out with the high protein meals and just building up and going over and beyond my protein just in case. I want to make sure that I'm not damaging myself by trying this fasting. Energy level wise, I felt okay. I'm right now trying to remove caffeine from my life, not for any real health problem. I think that 1 or 2 cups of whatever caffeine you like is good. But I used to be the Diet Coke addict, and I don't want to go back to that again. And I'm afraid that as soon as I get off this drug, I will get that caffeine desire again, and I will go hit Diet Coke, and I'll just get addicted to it again. Funny thing is, I tried one yesterday, and it tasted like chemicals to me. I couldn't even drink more than a sip of it. Thought it was just terrible tasting. So yeah, that's part of it. And then the other question comes in is, when you are doing a fast, do you continue to exercise? And exercise also creates a cellular stress reaction in your body. On one side, you can increase autophagy just by exercising, HIIT training, longer, intense workouts, which you're not supposed to do every day. Everyone feels that for the most part, you can get through moderate exercise every day. But sometimes, on occasion, if you do some more intense exercise, that can help autophagy. But if you're doing it when you exercise, again, it can overstress your body. It can tank your blood sugar. And so from what I understand is, a lot of people who are really into fitness, when they do fast, they cut back on their exercise. They go to more moderate exercise. They might do something like stretches and yoga, or a gentle walk, a gentle bike ride, as compared to really pushing it, because you can really tap out your sugar quite easily. The other part of it is you still drink water. You want to flush all that material out of your body. You don't want it to hinder your autophagy by just letting it accumulate in other different locations in your body. So it's really important that you still keep drinking liquids. Now, what they say with it is that you can have liquids with caffeine. Some people even say it's okay to continue drinking coffee and tea. But when it comes to soda pops, fancy drinks, the fizzy things that you might get at Starbucks, I drink packets in my drink. I stopped doing that during this fast. But the idea is that you don't have anything with calories. Some people say you don't have anything with caffeine, but that's not everybody. And you certainly don't want to have things with chemicals or any sort of body reaction. Just stick to the water, tea, coffee for the most part. And then the other question that comes in a lot when I saw people talk about fasting, it seems to be a younger person's game, but they found recent studies that show older populations also benefit from autophagy fasting as well. I think you want to be under a doctor's care. Talk to your doctor, particularly if you have big problems with diabetes, problems with blood sugar control. Like I said, my diabetes was not terribly bad. It was just enough to push me over into the GLP1 drugs, but not bad enough to cause any problems. But many people who taking GLP1s had serious diabetes problems. Talk to your doctor. A lot of it has to do with genetics. Some people fast and they do just fine. Like I said, I fasted before and it spiked my blood sugar. It's not doing that right now. And then the other part of it has to do with, it can increase your health by doing this. When you have a fast, it can help your insulin resistance improve, so you get less resistance. It can help your cells process energy better. It can change your hormonal breakdown of your body, which also can improve your metabolic health as well. But like I said, it's one of those things that we are all so different that I am not nearly qualified to tell you about it. All I can tell you is that it would be beneficial to talk to your doctor to see if fasting is something that's good for you. I felt in good enough health without any sort of health side effects that I could at least give it a shot and just try it. If you know anything about me, if you listen to my podcast, I'm all about experimenting with life as long as it doesn't damage your health, as long as you can do it and learn something from it without doing anything that would cause a permanent breakdown of anything. So that's my experience right now with fasting. It changed definitely while taking Mounjaro. I know people caution you very carefully to talk to your doctor while taking Mounjaro or any GLP-1 drug while fasting. So do make sure you do that. I found it beneficial. I'm going to try it again when I'm not on vacation and just see what it does. So I hope that helps. Go ahead and remember, you can always email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. You can put something in your comment about your own fasting experience. I already got some comments that make me believe that there's a lot of you out there trying fasting, or even have a good deal of depth with it. So I'm interested to hear what you say. Thanks so much for listening. Please remember to subscribe and tell a friend. And I hope your experience with whatever you're doing for your health is doing great. I hope good things for you and whatever goals it is that you're having with when it comes to these GLP-1s, or if you're planning on taking them. For me, this has been a great experience. I feel like I see the light at the end of the tunnel now. Now it's almost a little bit weird for me because I think that I lost the amount of weight I lost. I think I still have another amount of that weight to lose. I am just about to break into the 170s, which is where I was when I lost weight before I screwed up all my ankles. My next goal is, or let's say benchmark, was 149. That's what I was when I was in grade school. Boy, we're just time traveling back. But even that, according to the scales, is still overweight. I can't believe as much weight as I lost, I'm going to lose another amount of that weight again. And I just can't believe it. I don't know. Anyway, thanks so much for listening. Have a great week.